Hey crafty friends, it's Joy here for Honeybee Stamps, and today I created another stitching card, but we're going to be stitching on cardstock instead of felt. Okay, so I have die cut the In Stitches ornament. I am stitching on the little pieces, the little additional pieces that go on the front, and I'm alternating between green and white, and I'm just doing a simple stitch just to hold those in place. I'm also going to be stitching the other little lines white, and I'm kind of going to be doing a running, or I guess a back stitch, and filling in all of the holes. I did not show that on camera because I'm going to show some of the other stitching, but it's all pretty similar, except for the topper for the ornament. It's a bit more decorative, but really super simple, but you could do this in different ways. And so I'm just getting these little guys, all these little detail images sewn on. So I have a red cardstock. The back piece I'm doing a sage green. I took my color inspiration off of the patterned paper that I'm using from the Merry Moments paper. And right now I'm stitching with kind of like a greenish gold. It's not metallic, but it leans to the like antique gold look, and that's what I'm going to be doing for these little pieces here. The rest of it I am going to be using white thread. I'm going to use for the center pieces and the outside I am using 6 strands of thread, but I'm going to be using 2 strands of thread for the ornament top hanger part. So I'm just going to go around, and I'm just going up and down in the holes. I am not going to connect all of them like I have there in the center. You can see the white stitching coming out from the centerpiece. I am not going to do every hole. I'm going to do what it's going to look like is every other hole, even though I'm going up and down every hole, if that makes sense. I'm not going to fill in the gaps on the outside here. I think this looks really pretty. If you want more of a finer detail to this, use less thread. Again, I'm using all 6 pieces of thread on my floss, but you can use less. And again, you'll see that when I do the topper here in just a little bit. So last Wednesday here on Honeybee Stamps YouTube channel, I did a stitching video. I used the Snowflake, In Stitches Snowflake. I did a felt ornament, and then I just used them on a card without stitching. So you can also refer back to that video if you wanted to do something else. If you wanted to use felt, you're going to do it in the exact same way. So okay, now I have that tied off at the top. Here is my topper. So I have 2 strands of thread. I'm starting at the top and the center, and you can see this design on Honeybee Stamps storefront. If you go and look at the In Stitches ornament, you can see what that looks like. So I'm going through the same hole at the top and then coming down to 4 holes at the bottom. Then on the sides, both sides, I'm going to go in the hole at the bottom, and I'm going to go in each hole going from the top down to the sides down to the bottom. So it's going to kind of spread out like a fan. This is going to look more delicate because I'm only using 2 strands of thread. Again, you can transfer this to using felt, and that works just as well. And then I'm going to do the other side the same, and then I'm just going to tie it off in the back. And I did leave a long tail so that way I can tie it off, but I'm going to speed this up now for the other side. So I'm going to go in that bottom hole, and then I'm just going to work my way. If you need to see this slower, use the gear on YouTube, and you can slow this down to see exactly what I'm doing. But it really is so super simple. So even if you're not someone who stitches, just go grab some floss from probably your local craft store should have some, and you can just do this really quick. It's so pretty. It just adds that little extra, and it's just on cardstock. So let me go back through here. And then I'm going to tie that off, and then we're going to glue we're going to glue this to the top. Here's the other way that I did it. I ran that stitch all the way around the edges, so you could do it both ways, but I thought this really was the prettiest. Okay, so now I'm just going to add some glue. I did not stitch it onto the front. You could, but I did not, because the bottom of it has stitching where the bottom of the ornament itself, where this lines up, does not have the stitching holes. Does that make sense? I mean, you could use a sharp needle and punch through and that would be fine, but this is just how I did that. Then I'm just taking a piece of red ribbon and I am going to carefully tie a knot because I don't want to rip my paper. And then I'm just going to trim the ends of that, and we're just going to have a little bit of a ribbon topper here because we're going to add this to our card, of course. And I'm using, like I mentioned, the pattern paper from the Memory Moments paper. That is going to be our background. It has candy canes and ornaments and snowflakes that's kind of gold. And then we have our greenery, which is kind of like that sage green. So like I mentioned, this is where I'm getting my color from. I am taking the Sweet Stacks oval. I die cut an oval, and then I'm going to be using the 3D Snowflakes embossing folder and running that through my die cut machine. And then I took a larger size, one larger size of the Sweet Stacks oval, and die cut that from the same red cardstock, same color red cardstock that I used for the ornament. I am using the Simply Stated Holiday stamp and coordinating die. So this is going to stamp a ton of sentiments and die cut them all at once. And the die is all connected, so you don't have to place each one of these dies down. So then you're going to die cut a ton of sentiments at one time. And they're all different shapes. Sorry, my head's in the way. All different shapes and sizes, which is really fantastic. And because to me this feels a little, just by the paper, feels a little vintagey and older, I'm going to use the sentiment that says merry and bright. I just like the shape of it, and I just did it with black ink, but you could do whatever color you want, obviously. I'm going to adhere the embossed oval to our red cardstock oval. I'm adding 1mm foam adhesive behind that just to give it a little bit of dimension. And then I'm also going to add 1mm adhesive to my sentiment and to the ornament. So it's only 2mm tall. That should fit just fine in your envelopes to mail. But this, I think, turned out so pretty, and it's so simple, and the stitching is so fun. It's just kind of easy, relaxing. I think it's really a fun project. We're going to center that. Look at how pretty that is. And then I'm using the Merry Moments Pearl stickers. I'm going to add a gold one to the center of the ornament, and then a few scattered around on that snowflake oval. And then this will be adhered to a white A2 size card base, but let's take a look at this up close. Oh my gosh, look at how pretty that is. Just with that stitching, all of that detail you get with the stitching, and it really was so fast and so easy. And again, you can transfer this to using felt. It's really, really darling. Thanks guys so much for joining me today. I hope you feel inspired by this project. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like what you've seen, please subscribe to Honeybee Stamps YouTube channel, and I'll be back soon with another video. Bye.